Hey guys, this is Market Update. I think the bears are in a little bit of trouble here. It looks like we're trying to break out again. So this pattern seems to be playing out. That uptrend seems to be continuing. You can see we came into this pattern once here, twice, 3 times, and we've bounced each time. So buyers are coming in and buying those sell-offs at higher prices each time. And we're now looking to potentially break out from the all-time high prices. I know that we did trade up above this for a little bit. We got a wick there, but this would be the all-time high weekly close. So basically Bitcoin's at an all-time high again, ranging higher, right? And if you look at the monthly close, now I know it's like the first week of October, but this would be very clearly an all-time high monthly close, even if we finished here. So we're at all-time highs, and the next few months is typically when Bitcoin outperforms. We've got some catch-up to do to gold, and we're in a bull market where interest rates probably going to be coming down, and especially with the lockdown in the US, I mean, that's going to hit GDP. So you'd expect some sort of measures after that once they get that sorted. So look, I think we're in a good position. We didn't basically move anywhere for a year. 42 weeks, 43 weeks from this 100K that we traded here. We had a lot of volatility in between, but basically for a year we went nowhere. So I think it's probably time we actually get some performance back into BTC. You can see we've broken out of this. This is on the daily as well. So first breakout attempt, it can sell off. We can come back into this. We can maybe test this line and then go higher. But look, we're supposed to go higher. Bitcoin has the outperformance, and we need to catch up gold. You can see here from JP Morgan, the difference between Bitcoin price and their vol-adjusted comparison to gold. It implies that Bitcoin currently consumes around 1.85 times more risk capital than gold. That mechanically means that the market cap would have to rise around 42% to keep up with the difference between it and gold, implying a Bitcoin price of 165K. Look, I don't think we're going to get there maybe on this breakout, but look, we should go higher, right? 150K is definitely a level that I was thinking of. So I think we can get there. If you trade, check out Blowfin, you get a really good deposit bonus on there. And they give you VIP for a month as well, which is lower fees and some other bonuses. And Bybit, $30,000 deposit bonus on there via the links in the description. Not everyone can trade on Bybit, so maybe try out Blowfin. You can get a good deposit bonus on there as well. All links below. 165K would start to put us in the little red box, which is where I have to get out of my short-term trades or start distributing them, or at least not like buying and adding to positions. The reason being is that this chart, the long-term chart of Bitcoin, shows the trend rate of growth over time, right? The price can move up in its range and get kind of above the trend rate, and it can move below its range, right, and going below the trend rate. But as a risk reward for trading, especially if using leverage, right, because you have to manage this, up here is where I cannot just go long, right? It's impossible. I don't know what's going to happen to the price, right? We could actually just do this, right, for like a long time, although I doubt it. But it can't go here and then have another big bull market. That is almost impossible in my opinion, because then the rate of growth of the price would start to accelerate again. And that's not what we're seeing in the data. We're seeing the rate of growth, the CAGR, actually crush over time as the asset matures, which is totally normal. So for short-term trades, especially with leverage, I cannot have any reason to start going long in this box. And if I'm not going long, that means you have to actually sell out of your trades, because there's no neutral in trading, right? Neutral in investment, I'm just going to buy this and wait 10 years. But for trading, you can't do that, especially when you're using leverage. So look, I have to get out. That was my plan all along. And that's when the price of Bitcoin is fairly high in relation to its trend. I'm not saying I'm going to have a huge bear market again. I don't know what's going to happen, but those trades, that the whole plan was to get in at lower prices and then just ride it up here. If we got there, you have to sell out, because that's a risk reward. If we don't, you just do this, right? Well, then, you're not going to get a huge drawdown because you haven't had a big blow off top. Right? If you're not massively above the trend rate of growth in price, why would you then just dip way below it? So that's how I think. Anyway, look, I've got trades in. I'm going to have to start selling out when we get in this red box. So bittersweet, right, for the rest of this cycle. I'll show you Bitcoin's CAGR as well, compound annual growth rate. You can see that worked out in orange here. Black is the Bitcoin price. Look, we could go sideways like this period, which would be fantastic as well. But I don't think that you are going to see a fundamental long-term acceleration in CAGR. That's not what happens with risk assets as they grow in size, right? You see this, right? The CAGR coming down. So it's crushing. It could go sideways. It's currently around 30%. In a bull market, this could rise up to that 50, 60% CAGR, right? But that's short-term price movements, right? It's not a long-term, like 4-year CAGR. You're seeing that crush down. So again, for a risk reward for a trade, if the price is up there, CAGR is very high in relation to this trend. Again, that's something that you have to trade out of, right? Because the price is high in relation to that trend. That's the whole point of a trade, is getting out, playing the percentages of the price versus the trend rate. So look, we could have another great 2, 3, 6 months. But if the price is high in relation to trend, unfortunately, that's when you do have to sell out of your trades. Look, we can see here, Bitcoin versus gold, NASDAQ, everything else. People are saying that Bitcoin is underperforming gold. Year to date, we've basically gone sideways because of the 100K distribution, but on any investment time horizon, huge outperformance versus everything else, except for MSTR, which is just using debt to buy it, right? So leverage Bitcoin. So obviously another good trade. But look, the whole trade here, you're seeing the banks get involved now, right? So they've been buying at 100, right? A lot of sellers, early OGs selling out 100 to a lot of these ETFs and everything, and the banks obviously just say, this is the best trade ever, and try and pump it up as well. Just typical TradFi stuff. They're talking about the debasement trade, right? And I think it's really important. Michael Saylor actually replied here. We call it saving our money. And that is the important thing. Bitcoin isn't really a trade. You can trade the price versus dollars. What I'm actually doing is not trading Bitcoin. I'm trading dollars. I'm going long Bitcoin, but really what I'm doing is going short dollars because I think we're in a weakening cycle for the dollar. So I'm actually going short dollars, playing that against Bitcoin for a trade. I just think that's the easiest way to play it. Now you can do it against NASDAQ if you want, or housing. People have done it against housing, right? Historically, I'm trading it against Bitcoin. It's the easiest way to do it, right? But what I'm actually doing is going short dollars when I'm trading, right? And when I'm saving money in my DCA, what I'm doing is saving my money. I'm not trading a debasement trade. Everyone knows that paper isn't money. Paper isn't money, and you can't hold it. This is the inflation rate in CPI. It never, ever goes down. This is the price of stuff in paper, right? But the price of stuff in Bitcoin is like this. Price of stuff in paper is like this, right? We call it saving our money, right? Because paper is not something that you can save in. The reason why the S&P is making exponentially more money is because more paper exists. Their remit, right, is to earn paper, and there's so much paper being printed that it's exponentially going higher. But if you measured this in Bitcoin, it's doing this, right? Because you can't earn more Bitcoin. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. So if you produce more and more and more goods and services, that just means that the price of those comes down because they debase themselves versus the Bitcoin. Paper is debasing itself, and that's why it looks like these guys are earning more revenue year after year, but they're actually not. They're just earning the same amount. It's just there's more paper out, right? So that's what this is. Think about it, right? They're earning paper, and their revenue and earnings are going up. That's because there's more paper in existence, right? It's a joke. So look, are we going to get a euphoric peak? This is from Checkmate here. In the previous two bull markets, you saw this euphoric peak, right? And that's obviously a good time to sell. We haven't had that. And I'm absolutely fine with it just, bumbling along. But if the price gets high in relation to trend, I still have to sell out, which it could do. It might not have that euphoric peak. It might just kind of edge up there. Euphoric peaks do happen though. And they tend to happen, towards the tail end of a bull market, which it seems like everything is just behaving in the same way as previous bull markets, which would be this winter, this Q4, being pretty good for BTC. Now, if you want to invest in hedge funds, which charge you 2 and 20 in terms of fees, right? 2% fee and then a 20% performance fee, huge high ticket item that you have to invest into. You got to be a rich guy. You got to know people to get into these funds. 26% year to date return. These guys, that's the best one. These guys, 11, 10, 12%. Man, they haven't even outperformed the S&P. The S&P goes up that much. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Buy Bitcoin, outperform every single hedge fund manager in the space. And by the way, you can buy and sell any amount of it on Sunday evening. You don't have to have $1 million block investment into these garbage funds. Bitcoin just demonetizes all of that garbage. So good. If you trade Bitcoin, Bybit deposit bonus up to 30,000 down below. If you can't trade on Bybit, check out Blowfin. You can get a great deposit bonus and VIP for a month as well on there. Link in description. I'm James, this is Money DG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.